Hello folks, this is a follow-up to a video I did a couple weeks ago about the Bigscreen 2, Bigscreen Beyond 2. It got like over almost 7,000 views, 6,500 views, and 200 some likes. Seems to be one of my more popular videos. I guess people aren't that interested in how to repair and replace the air conditioning compressor in their Mazda Speed 3, which is another big video I had. But anyways, yeah, the initial video, it was just kind of an overview of what I thought of it and stuff like that. So it did generate lots of comments. I tried replying to most everything that I could, but people were asking about the glare, of course, with pancake lenses. They were asking about, I think it's called the persistence blurring, which is something that happens with OLED screens. This is my first OLED. I've never had an OLED monitor or anything like that, so I wasn't familiar with it. But people were saying if you turn the brightness up really bright and then move your head back and forth, it takes a while for the pixels to refresh, and it causes some blurring. So I'll take a look at that. There's also mic issues, fogging. What about the 90 hertz mode? Can you super sample in order to improve the quality in it? And again, different iRacing settings. People were asking about what my hardware setup was and things like that. So we'll go over that. So this is basically a follow-up video to that. I'm going to go in a little bit more detail. I did get actually bought some tools. I bought fpsVR, and I'll get into that, and we'll be able to take better measurements and iRacing on some of the options. Last time I was just relying on the little bar chart that iRacing has, along with the FPS counter. But fpsVR seems to work pretty well in this setup. So I've got some more concrete numbers, and we'll look at some of those options on it. But I don't know if you noticed, my picture should be looking a lot clearer, a lot brighter and stuff like that. I did buy a new webcam and some other things, and I want to kind of give a shout out to another YouTuber. This guy right here, Jasper Tech. I ran across this the other day, and he did a review of all these different webcams, and I ended up purchasing based on his recommendation. This is Jasper Tech, so definitely give him a subscribe and like. He bought all these cameras out of his own pocket and reviewed them, and I ended up buying this one right here, the OBSBot Me Too. And yeah, it's working great. Much brighter, much clearer picture than the webcam I was using before. So shout out for him for introducing me to this here. And this tiny too. It's just like about this big square. What is it? An inch and a quarter, something like that. And some of his other videos ended up buying some new speakers for the room. Also got some of these edifiers, and yeah, I was using some old stuff from 2000s. It was like a 3.5 jack, and yeah, it was ridiculous. But I needed some new speakers for quite a while. But you got a new webcam, got some new speakers, got some new diagnostic tools. So let's get into this. Let's start with the questions about my hardware. So I am running a AMD Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, and wow, yeah. Micro Center nowadays has them for $339. That's pretty cheap. I almost paid $500 for it when I first bought it. Nothing really special about it. I am running the standard Precision Boost Overdrive with a 200 plus clock, and there's a curve optimizer with a -15 on all cores. So that's supposed to keep it a little bit cooler. Don't really need it. The whole thing is water cooled, but it's on there anyways. Then for memory, I have 64 gig of memory, and this is CL26. Works pretty decent. Recently did an upgrade, and I haven't set the RGB colors on it yet, so when you see the PC, it's going to be different colors. But yeah, it works pretty fine. I decided to go 64 because I usually have lots of things running in the background, video editors, OBS, and things like that. I used to have a 32 gig before that, but yeah, I recently changed that. And again, nothing special about it. I was running a regular X Pro profile, and you can see right there it's running at 26. And again, nothing really specific about the memory. Graphics card is a MSI Ventus 3X 4070 Ti. I bought this a couple years ago, and it's been working pretty good. I've got a water block on it, so I took everything apart, put a water block on it, and added to the system. Before this, I was running a 3080, and it kind of went bad on me. And then I've got another computer down here with a 2070 Ti. It's my wife's gaming PC. So yeah, 4070 Ti, and there's not much going on. I am running the standard. I'm using NVIDIA app for boosting the clock. Oh yeah, and you can see the GPU tuning. It's running extra 85 on the GPU clock, and it's running 200 on the VRAM tuning. I used to run MSI Afterburner, and you could get a little bit more performance out of it, but there's overhead involved, and there were certain times when Afterburner was causing some issues. People were reporting on it, so I decided not to run it. And then NVIDIA came out with their app that has some tuning on it, some overboost. So I'm just running that, just trying to keep things pretty simple. And on the Bigscreen beyond power cable, I'm running a little USB switch like this, and that way I can just quickly turn on and off completely and power down, so it's not running all the time. It does. I've heard some people say that there's an issue with fogging. If you leave it powered on, there's a certain amount of heat that stays in the headset, and it keeps it from fogging as bad. There have been a couple of times when I've had the headset sitting out here and the AC vent is hitting it, and then I put them on my head, and it fogs up right away, and I have to wipe it off a couple of times and give it a couple of minutes to completely warm up. But yeah, so I do turn everything off completely after use. One of the questions people had was about fan noise. So I don't really have any fancy microphones in here. I've got a tiny little overhead mic with a input level adjustment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the Bigscreen Beyond right next to the mic, turn up the volume, and I'll run through the fan speed, and you can kind of hear it for yourself. That's 100%. Not sure if you can hear that. So yeah, I'm not sure how that worked out. Let me get these levels back down. But my opinion is, in iRacing, it's not an issue at all. You're going to have engine noises and things like that. You can hear the fan, definitely can hear it, especially when it's up at 100. So if you're in games like VR chat, or maybe a horror flick or something like that, or you're watching movies and in a quiet environment, or you are in VR chat and talking to someone, it might become an issue. That really depends on what kind of games you play. But for the stuff that I do, action, sim racing, the fan noise is not an issue. But if you are in very quiet environments, it might be something you need to think about. Let's try out the microphone. So first I have a overhead mic. This is above my display. It's a directional mic with an input adjustment. It's nothing really fancy. It's a USB setup. I'm not one of those YouTubers that wants to stick the big mic, or right there covering up 1/3 of the screen. Things kind of silly. But anyways, it's a decent mic. Seems to work. Seems to sound pretty decent. At least you tell me. I think it sounds all right. So then next after this, I'm going to try the a game DAC mic. There we go. Had to reset up OBS. So this here's what I use if I'm playing zombie shooters and things like that. And it has, I think it's a Steel Series, so it says. There we go. Yeah, I think it's a Steel Series. So this is what this mic sounds like. It's a I guess a mid-range headset and mic. So after this, let's try the Beyond Bigscreen mic, and you can kind of hear what it sounds like. Alright, let's try this out. Alright, so this is what the microphone sounds like from the Bigscreen Beyond 2. Compared to what I had earlier. I had an overhead mic, USB, directional, and I had the game DAC mic. So when I was listening to some of the video from the previous my initial thoughts video, I thought it actually sounded really good. It was sounding better than the Pimax was. Pimax was a little bit quiet, a little bit muffled. Of course, you can adjust everything in OBS, but yeah, it's not a bad mic. One of the odder questions I got was, what was my iRating? I'm not really sure what that has to do with the Bigscreen Beyond or anything like that, but sure, let's go for it. Here is my iRacing main screen. These are kind of series I like. I started off Skip Barber about 6 years ago, did that a bunch. Skip Barber was great. I do lots of Formula Ford 1600. I really like that car. I did the Spec Racer Ford a little bit. I like open cockpit cars because I am in the VR. I want to see sky. I want to see tires and stuff like that. Played around with the Radical a little bit. I'm doing the Super Formula Lights. That's a really fun car to do. Of course, there's the Miatas. There's always Miatas. You never do that. So and then there's a couple of league races. League was doing the Ferrari 296 Challenge. So I was doing some of the series races, the official races for that. And I'm like, I'm still not really that much of a fan of this cars, GT style cars, but it is what it is. So I tried that. I did the Porsche GT4 a couple of seasons ago. This season, the league is also doing IndyCar. So I've been playing around with that. It's kind of unique having mandatory tire swaps, and the oval stuff and all the rules about ovals is really kind of unique. But anyways, this is kind of the series that I'm interested in. I try to follow. As far as my iRating goes, I'm a B license in both sports car and in Formula cars. I had an A license at one point because I wanted to race a certain class. I didn't really worry about classes or iRating or anything like that. I do worry about the safety rating now and then if I want to get to a certain class. If there's a car I want to try out, like at one point there's something in the A license that I wanted to try. If it was a Formula 1 cars or something like that. So I made sure I got my safety rating up above 3. I did all my mandatory, my MPR class races, and I got an A license for a while. But that is so hard to keep. A couple incidents and you lose so much safety rating. It wasn't long before I was under 2 and my license got downgraded at the end of the season. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. If you look at the stats, yeah, I've been playing ovals. But yeah, sports car. This is since the sports car has been out, I've been as low as 897, and what's my peak? 1424. Yeah, 1424. So I kind of go in that range. Depends on what I'm driving. You see it goes up and down. Depends on how busy I am. For the Formula cars, same thing. I've been as low as 897. Oh yeah, this was when everything got merged. Been up there. Took a break from Formula for a while. This was after I think the Skip Barbers, and I got back into the 1600s. And it goes up and down. I mean, I'm a mid-pack racer. There's nothing to brag about or anything like that. You can see I've got 4 wins in sports car, 1 in Formula. The old road stuff, I had a lot more races and stuff like that before the split up. But anyways, yeah, that's my iRating and the things that I race. Yeah, nothing really special about it. One of the other things, though, is league racing. So there's some folks I met at the track here locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area down by Crescent, and they told me they have a league, so I joined it, and it's the Apex This League. You can go to the website. Is it up there? No, it's not showing. It's apexthis.racing, and yeah, they do several nights a week. Tuesday nights right now they're doing Miatas. Is this going to change? There we go. Yeah, they're doing the MX-5s. So these are kind of typical rules. I usually have an intro in my league race videos that covers some of this stuff here. So yeah, we have drops open. There's a fast repair, rolling starts on everything, and pretty much all the races, their central time. Practice starts at 6, qualifying is at 7:50, races at 8 o'clock. The Miata, we have 2 20-minute races. Top 3 gets inverted. On Thursday nights, we are doing the IndyCar, the iRating, and so we're kind of been following the official schedule. So we do a road race and oval, road race, oval, and that was kind of interesting learning. And on Sunday nights, we're doing the new Ferrari 296 Challenge, and again, I'm not that big a fan of just regular GT cars. But I don't know, the league's kind of fun. Check it out sometime. I'll put a link down in the description for it. I also picked up a copy of fpsVR. When I was running a Pimax, I never ran it because I ran the Pimax native OpenXR. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work with Steam VR. But the Steam VR, I can use its OpenXR. And fpsVR will still work with the Steam VR app, so I'm able to run this, and I can look in my VR headset and get the display and get all the stats about the GPU and the CPU. And this here, it's not free, but it costs $3.99. So that's $4, and I think with tax it's like $4.11 or something ridiculous like that. So yeah, I rated my 401k and took out $4 and to buy this. But yeah, it's much more detail, gives you a lot more information than just simply relying on the iRacing FPS display or the bars for the CPU and the GPU rendering. So very, very handy tool, and you'll see it here in a bit. And for a VR game with dark backgrounds and lots of lights, I'm going to check out some glare. Yes, folks, just for y'all, I'm going to reinstall Beat Saber. And we'll see how the glares with the lights and things like that. Alright, Beat Saber's installed. Put the headset on, and the first thing I notice is the fogging. Yeah, the unit was completely turned off, but again, it is something to keep in mind. If you keep it turned off, there is going to be a temperature differential between the headset and your body, and it is going to cause the lens to fog. So you might have to spend a little bit of time, get your cloth, clean the inside of the lens, and repeat that for a couple minutes. Keep it on your face. I wonder if maybe you could breathe on it. Let's see. I know you don't want to spit on it like in scuba diving goggles or anything like that, but anyways, yeah, gotta take some time to let it warm up. Alright, that's better. So now about the glare. Yes, it is noticeable. It's not actually all that bad right here. When I was doing iRacing and the screen was off to the side, and you could kind of see it in the middle. If you're looking directly at it, it's not that bad. And right here, yeah, it's actually, the glare's not as bad. It's not as bad as it was on the iRacing loading screen. But typically what happens is when your light source is off to the side and it goes to pancake lenses and it has to bounce back and forth between the lenses before it gets your eye, it does create some glare. But we'll play around with the brightness here in a minute and see if that makes any difference. Right now, people were also asking about the persistence blurring. So basically if you shake your head back and forth, yes, it's an OLED screen. You are going to have persistence. Right now, what I'm noticing, what I'm looking at, is right there at the 0 down there where the number is at. And whenever I shake my head, the little gap in between the 0 basically closes up. But as soon as it stops, it instantly, it's not that bad. But yeah, let me turn up the brightness a little bit and test that. Alright, let's just go overboard, or let's go overdrive, and max out the brightness. Fan speed, yeah, and overdrive automatically went to 100. Alright, so let's try this again. Very, very bright. I don't know why you would ever needed this bright at all. There is a halo around all the little floodlights that are up there in the sky. So it definitely has a halo. It's actually kind of fuzzy. But yeah, when at this brightness level, when you do this, for example at 0 again, it actually gets wider. And yeah, you can see like 2 or 3 dots, or the empty square in the middle of the 0. When you do that, you can see like 3 empty squares jittering back and forth. Yep, that is pretty much unplayable. So yeah, I was playing it at 75, and there was a little bit. Let me see, try some lower settings. Alright, 70. Let's go the opposite range. Let's put it down to 30 and see where we end up at. Alright, 30. Not that bad. Yeah, the square, the empty square in that 0, it never closes completely. It does get a little bit smaller. But yeah, definitely does not have 3 separate black bars in the middle of that 0 whenever you go back and forth. So if you are sensitive to the motion blurring, 30, and on this here it's not too bad. Let me see what the game actually looks like. I might have to, yeah, more likely I'm going to have to cut the volume out of this right here for copyright violations. Very black. Wow, the OLEDs are black. Yeah, you can tell I don't play this. Yeah, I was just looking for it anyways. Very nice black levels. Yeah, I got hit right away. Alright, not bad. And it's still bright enough. That's really what I was looking for, was how bright the items were. And yeah, definitely bright enough at 30. So Beat Saber works at 30. I'm not sure if that's what I would want to do in iRacing and some of the other games. Because I do like bright sunshine outside. I like driving open cockpit cars because of that. I like looking at the sky and the clouds and everything. I'm not a big fan of enclosed cars, GT3s and stuff like that. I like open cockpit cars, SRF and Radical, and the Formula Ford 1600, Skip Barber, all those kinds of things. But yeah, that was not bad at all. And so it's 75. That's my usual setting. And I did see a couple squares earlier, but let's try this again. All right. Let me shake my head. Yeah, 0, it's basically the black square in the middle kind of blinks. It goes away completely. Whereas 30, the black square got smaller. At 75, you can still kind of see it, but it's almost there. And of course, in overdriven, you end up with the entire 0 showing up in 2 or 3 places and having multiple squares in there. So those are kind of my opinions on that. 75 works for me. This is a nice black background. Again, with iRacing, it's going to be much less noticeable. But yeah, if you're going to play horror games or something with a black background like this, maybe watch some movies, that might be an issue if you're moving your head or something a lot. Yes, there is persistence blurring when you move your head quickly and depending on your brightness. In the 2 weeks or so that I've been using the Bigscreen Beyond 2, I have not really ran across a problem or scenario. Most of it has been iRacing. I've played a couple other games, but I just don't have a use case where I'm focusing on something and moving my head around really quick like that. And even in real life, if I'm sitting here doing this, I'm looking at my camera and I'm seeing blurring of my camera. So it's almost like a real life thing. If you're shaking your head real quick like that, yeah, your eyes are going to be moving, and your real life is going to be blurry and moving around and stuff like that. And so I don't really see any instance in gaming where that is a different type of issue. In iRacing, I'll move my head real quick to look at a car next to me, and as soon as I'm looking at the car, it becomes clear again. So anyways, yeah, please leave some use cases in the comments below, because I'm actually curious what sort of issues people are running into with the persistence blurring, because off the top of my head I can't really think of any use case where that would really be a problem when you're gaming or something like that. But again, I'm overlooking it. You know, I do sims and things like that. So anyway, so let me know in the comments where the problem actually is with that. Thanks. For the resolution, Steam VR and beyond have some built-in super sampling. So we know that the native panels, the OLED panels, the resolution is 2560 per eye at 75 Hertz. At 90 Hertz, the drawn resolution drops down to 1920. Yet when we go over here and look at 100% in Steam VR at 75 Hertz, we're seeing 3560. And then at 90 Hertz, at 100% Steam VR is showing 2688. So both at 75 Hertz and at 90 Hertz, there is some built-in super sampling already. In order to clarify this, I went and see what's going on. I went to Grok and asked it that question. 2560 is the native panel, 75, 1920 scaled at 1900s, and the Steam is this. So ask it what kind of super sampling is it doing, and is there a consistent multiplier? And I'm not going to read this directly. You can pause it and read it yourself. But yes, it does do super sampling. It talks about in order to increase sharpness and anti-aliasing. So right here is the native stuff, and you can read all of this right there. And then at Steam VR resolutions, this is what happens. And these are per target. And some more details, and then down here we get to the table. So yes, there is a multiplier. It's right about 1.4, so it's already at 1.5 super sampled built in. So yeah, at 75, the headset is 2560, and we're drawing at 3560. And 90 Hertz, the input resolution is 1920, and we're drawing at 2688, and so that's about 1.4 multiplier for both of them. So if you can increase Steam VR to even higher, but it's already kind of built in. You might be able to get some if you can run it, but as we're going to find out, at 90 Hertz, I don't have the CPU capacity to run it at much. Well, I can't even run it really at 90 Hertz. What we're about to find it out. But yeah, with super sampling at 90, and unless you have a really fast CPU and GPU, it's probably won't work for most of us. And the really cool thing is that Grok even gives you advice, which I kind of discovered while creating this video. So for best quality, run at 75 Hertz at 100% for sharpest image. If you want more smoothness, you can use 90 at 100, and but expect light or less sharpness. And then monitor FPS and avoid stuttering. To me, stuttering is the biggest thing. And then if you want to, you can try increasing your super sampling even higher than that. But then it is highly demanding, and they recommend a 4080 at least, and even faster depending on what super sampling. So yes, you can super sample the Beyond and Steam VR to increase your detail and clarity, but you have to have the hardware to support it. I usually have some helper apps running during iRacing, and those include the Digital Race Engineer, and this is voice commands. So I hit a button on my steering wheel, I give commands to change tires, how much fuel to put in, different things like that. If I want fast repairs, show different black boxes. Also have lots of stuff programmed on my steering wheel, but so I have a choice of using one or the other. Then next we have the Sim Racing Studio. So this has my wind generators. So I've got two big fans in front of me, and they are speeds relative. So the faster you drive, the more wind you blow. It's really nice immersion. It also keeps you cool, keeps your headset cool. So yeah, I absolutely love the wind generators. And then for overlays, right now I'm using iOverlay. I do have a pro subscription, and I'm using it mostly for the OBS recording. I'm not really using it inside my VR headset. They're just for the OBS recording, so viewers can see standings and relatives and track maps and stuff like that. I have used RaceLab in the past, and there's some issues that they do work inside VR, but then the recording is bad. So you kind of had a choice. Do you want a decent recording, or do you want to see it inside VR? And they recently had an update, and I'm about to try it out again. Might end up making a video on that, but yeah, supposedly they fixed some of the issues with that. The other thing I've been using ever since I've got the new SimMagic Evo 18 wheel is Marvin's awesome iRacing app. I tried it with the 8 Newton meter Fanatec CSL DD, and it was clipping really bad. And that was one of the reasons I ended up going to a more powerful wheel, was so that I can increase my detail to like a 250 right here, and it doesn't clip or anything like that. There's also some nice things on the steering effects. I kind of like the fact that the sine wave buzzer for the understeer, so whenever I'm pushing it in a corner, you will definitely feel it. And so yeah, those are the utilities I'm running while I'm running iRacing, along with OBS, of course. This here is kind of my standard for doing the graphical testing. It puts a big load on your PC. So I take the BMW M2. I guess it doesn't matter, but any enclosed car that has details on a dashboard and stuff like that. And I do Long Beach Street Circuit because it has chain link fences, so you can check your anti-aliasing. You can also look at all the lines on the road. There's concrete barriers on the side, so there's lots of stuff for jaggeds to happen. So you can definitely check your AA on this circuit. And then for performance, also turn on heavy rain. And again, this kind of really puts a huge load on your entire PC, both GPU and the CPU. And so I kind of use this for testing performance. If you can get things to run smoothly with this setting, you should be good on pretty much any other track. And I run this with about 20 different AIs, and that way it has to draw all the different cars. And 20 is a big load. You know, there's half the time in iRacing we might have like 12 or 15 or something like that. And I am going to run this in OpenXR. Alright, here we go. We're at 75 Hertz mode, and we're going to check out fpsVR once we jump in. And I will show my graphics settings that we have. But yeah, this is 100% at 75 Hertz, 3560 by 3560, super sampled. So let's hop in here. Alright, and my options, graphics. Alright, so in VR mode, of course, we're foveated, a new feature that iRacing came out with. We're at 2x MSAA with sharp. I like sharp. Some things are high detail in the performance screen over here, some are low. There is no dynamic LOD limits or anything like that. One thing to note is object self-shadowing is off. That's kind of a big one. And also the virtual mirror is off right now. I found this here, and the MSAA are kind of the biggest killers of FPS. Sharpening is on, shader quality is high detail, SSR is high always. I like seeing the water puddles and things. So right now let's hop in here and see what we get around this first turn. Alright, I'm going to turn the windshield wipers on. CPU frame time is what, right around 9 milliseconds. So that's kind of borderline. FPS is 75. And we will see some orange right here. Yeah, when at 75 Hertz, it needs to kind of stay below 13 milliseconds. And you saw we just jumped above that in that corner. And the rest of the time, it looks like it's staying right around 10 or so. So this should be doable, other than the first turn. And like I said, that's usually what I use as a test. This track in the rain with a car. First turn is a pain. So just to repeat that, we'll go in here again. Yeah, it starts off at 6, and then all the cars show up, and we go up to 9. Turn on the windshield wiper. That kills things a little bit more. And yeah, if we're standing here right around 9, we're going to get some orange bars in a corner. And then after that, it should be fine. Right there, we're at 11 or so. A couple 13s. Yep, 13s, 15s. That's where the orange bars came from. And then we're good after this once everything gets split up. And again, that was with these graphic settings. And now just to show you how bad the virtual mirror is, it basically makes it undrivable. We're going to turn this on. We're going to leave everything else the same. And we're going to go back in here and do another start. And you'll see immediately, the frame time is already up in the 11s, 12s. We're already seeing orange bars. So the virtual mirror, just having to draw the cars behind us with the rain and the windshield wipers, it's going to completely destroy our performance here. Yeah, you can see it 18, 19. It's almost solid, solid orange. So the virtual mirror in a complicated scene like this absolutely kills your performance and makes it unusable. Next, we're going to have to restart it for that. We're going to turn this back off, and we're going to see what an 8X does. So it's all the same settings. Virtual mirrors back off, which should make it drivable. But now we're going to have MSAA samples at 8. And we do have to restart this. Graphics right there. So now we're at 8X sampling. And everything else is still the same right there. And let's see what kind of frame times we get now. Alright, centered the car. And yeah, you can see just the 8X. We're hitting 15s, lots of orange bars in there. And so it's going to become completely undrivable. Yep, stuttering is really, really bad. Yeah, and we need to be hitting below 13 milliseconds at 75 Hertz. So at this MSAA sampling rate, it is undrivable. As you can see, we're now at 90 Hertz mode, and we're still at 100%, so it's 2688. Kind of covered that a little bit earlier in the video. So we're going to see if we can run at 90 Hertz if I have the hardware. I don't think I do, but let's give this a shot. There you go, all the same options. We're at MSAA 2X. Virtual mirror is off. The only thing we really did was turn on the 90 Hertz mode. And you can see the FPS counter up there is right at 90. And right now we're at about 9 milliseconds, so it looks somewhat promising. And as soon as they move, though, we're starting to get a bunch of orange, and I believe at 90 we're supposed to keep it under 11. So yeah, it did not pass that test. You can see all the orange right there, 15, 16, so on. So 90 Hertz, I do not have the horsepower to run this. Alright, we have restarted everything. We're at 8x MSA, and we have the virtual mirror. Everything else was the same. Again, we're at 90, and this should be a total shit show right here. Alright, just sitting here, we can't even hit it. Just trying to draw it on a regular basis. We're doing 15, 16 milliseconds, and we should be under 11. So yeah, with the virtual mirror and the 8x MSAA. Let's see if we get this up in the 20s or something. Nope, upper teens. But yeah, you can see we're only hitting 80 FPS, and we should be up in the 90s. So again, that was just a test of the hardware, something you should probably try out. That was all of the heavy load track testing. We tested at 75 and at 90 Hertz. We tested 2x and 8x MSAA sampling, and we tested the virtual mirror on and off. So we had those 4 scenarios. And again, the 90, I don't have the hardware for it. You might have it, I don't. And I didn't even get into the super sampling in Steam VR, because by default it already super samples at 1.4. It's like 140% by default. And I didn't have the hardware to run 90 Hertz at 100%, so I'm not even going to try that. If you have a 5090 and a 9000 9800 X3D or something like that, you might be able to get it to work. But yeah, that was kind of it. That was a heavy load test. So now we're going to try something more realistic. We're going to do some Formula Ford 1600s at Lime Rock, and it's going to be daytime, no rain, much simpler. And we're going to do the same 4 scenarios and see what kind of performance and if it can handle it. We have all the same settings. We're at 90 Hertz. And same 2688 resolution, and we're going to hop in there and check the iRacing settings, but I believe we're still at 8x with the virtual mirror on. So that was the most complicated setting we tried in the heavy load track, and it was undrivable. But now we're trying skippies during the day, no rain, on Lime Rock. Alright, here's our graphics. We're at 8x. We have the virtual mirror on. Everything else is the same. I didn't change anything. So let's see if we can get in there and do some damage. Yeah, you can see FPS running right at 90. And we will go ahead and grid. And so in this scenario, the frame time is under 7, and at 90 it needs to be under 11, so everything here is running pretty good. I forgot about the rolling start. I'll have to change that here in a minute. So yeah, this at 90 is perfectly usable, and so it really comes down to the weather and your track conditions and the type of car that you have. Let's push this a little bit. Let's super sample at 90 Hertz up to 200. Why not? And yeah, we are still running at 90. Everything is set, and we're going to keep all the same iRacing settings. We're going to stick with the 8x and the virtual mirror, and we'll see what the FF1600s at Lime Rock can do. Alright, here we go. We're still at 90 Hertz, but now we are super sampled 200%. I believe that's 3800 by 3800. and that might be a little bit too much. Yeah, it's already hitting, going past 11. Yeah, we have virtual mirror on. We're at 8x. Let's see what it looks like once we hit the grid. Alright, yeah, that's right at the borderline right there. Oh yeah, and it is stuttering. Yeah, it needs to be below 11 at 90 Hertz. So with the super sampling, I do not have the hardware to super sample it at 200. So let's go and try 150. Oh yeah, what a stuttering mess. That's awful. Alright, we're going to try this again at 150% super sample, 90 Hertz. We're still at 8x, and we have the virtual mirror on. So we'll see if we can get any kind of performance out of this. Alright, we're at 90 Hertz, but this time we're only at 150% super sampled. Everything else here is the same. We still have the 8x and the virtual mirror. So let's see if this is drivable. Alright, not bad. 6.5 milliseconds. This should be doable. Oh, and I don't have any sound, so I'm not able to hear lots of things. But yeah, this is perfectly drivable. There we go. We got a little bit right there. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit, a couple frames per second right here. Oh yeah, that's stuttering right there. I mean, it looks clean on the screen and everything, but I'm seeing some stutters. Alright, so let's turn off the virtual mirror, see if we can run it like that. And then afterwards we'll turn off the MSAA. Alright, here we are, no virtual mirror. Alright, sitting here, we're doing low 5s. So far so good. I think it was his first turn was when we saw the orange bars a while ago. So far nothing. Low 5s, nice. I'm not seeing any stuttering or anything like that. Yeah, this is totally drivable. Four and a half milliseconds, that's not bad at all. It's that virtual mirror that's what does it. Virtual mirror is absolutely killing the frames per second in iRacing. So yeah, totally drivable with 8x. Not bad at all. So I think that was a success. So yeah, we're still at 90 Hertz. Super sampled at 150% on my 470 Ti 7800X3D. And we just bumped the MSAA down to 4x. Here we are, we're bumped down to 4x. We're still at 90 Hertz with super sampling at 150. Alright, CPU frame time looks good. 5.5. It has to be below 11. So far everything is running really smooth. I'm looking down at the FPS counter where we're at 6. Alright, so it's about half of what's required. Does it look sharp? Yep. Cars are looking really good. Yeah, CPU frame time 4.5. Now there's no crap. Too busy looking around. I'm not paying attention to the race. Everything looks nice and clean. I don't really see a major improvement in the super sampling. But that's just my personal opinion. You're gonna have to figure that out yourself. What's my conclusion with all of this? Well, it depends. As far as the super sampling and resolution, things like that, it depends on what track and car and if it's raining or not. What are you doing for your MSAA? Are you doing 2x, 4x, 8x? Are you using the virtual mirror? As you saw, the virtual mirror absolutely kills your frame time. Really, really bad. So if you need to get the absolute maximum performance out of your Bigscreen Beyond and your PC hardware, you're going to have to play around a lot. Get the fpsVR and then play around with those settings, the MSAA and your virtual mirror and your 90 and 75 refresh rates. And again, it comes down to it. As you saw in the BMW in the rain, I could not run 90 Hertz at all. On the Lime Rock Park and FF16, I could run it pretty decently. It wasn't too bad. Is there a big advantage to running at 90? For me, no. I'm used to running the 8KX at 75, so I will run the Beyond at 75. I will probably have the 8X MSAA on. If I don't run my virtual mirror, if I do run my virtual mirror, I'm going to drop that down to 2X and then play around with some of the other settings. But at least highly recommend everybody get the fpsVR if you're going to be doing this. Tune your system according to your PC hardware. Get it tuned according to the track and car and the graphical settings you have in iRacing. So is super sampling possible? Yes, it is, but everything depends.